All right, welcome to another episode of Scotty Talks Philly Sports. I'm here with my co-host Will.
Yeah.
We're going to start out the show a little different today, okay? So we did have a big loss to the family yesterday, especially my girlfriend's side of the family. Anita Johnson, she passed away. She's the grandmother of my girlfriend, and she died at the age of 82 yesterday. So we just wanted to take a little bit of time and show some respect and pay some homage to a lost family member.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Anita.
Right on, Jay.
All right. So, yeah, R.I.P. to Anita Johnson, very amazing woman. We are going to get into some sports today. So I'm just going to give you a quick, breakdown of what we're going to kind of just surf through today. Man, my Goddard jersey is looking really nice. Wow. But, yeah.
Shining.
So as far as today, we're going to go over a little bit. There was an outbreak of coronavirus down in Florida, and it's hit the Phillies organization. We'll talk through a little bit of that. We'll get into the most recent MLB proposal as far as the season starting. We're going to hop into the Brandon Brooks thing. Huge loss for the Eagles, man. And
man.
we're going to talk a good bit about that because that one hurts. That one hurts. Brandon Brooks is a great guy. We'll get into that. Talk about a few replacement options for Brandon Brooks. Nothing's really going to replace him, but we can at least hope and, pray for something decent. And then we're going to get into this new Jamal Adams fiasco. You know how as soon as these players come out, request trades or get released, it's always straight to the Eagles. Us as Eagles fans, we have so much, courage, such high expectations for Howie Roseman that we think that he can get any trade done, We think that he can get any signing done, any contract done. So we're going to get into that. I've heard some crazy proposed trades that, we have no business even talking about. But we'll get into that. And then we also got 2 questions from our mailbag that we're going to answer for some listeners today. So let's hop right in. We're going to talk about the Phillies, just baseball for a little bit. And man, the coronavirus has finally hit one of our own, 5 players, 3 coaching staff. It's either 3 coaching staff or 3, people within the organization aside from the actual players. It hasn't been mentioned the actual names of the players yet, so we don't really know who. Obviously, it's not Bryce Harper because I know he hasn't been down in Clearwater. You'll know when those guys are down there, and it'll be more of a big deal for sure. But no matter what, regardless of the notoriety and the name, the big name feature, we send our prayers out for all those guys and girls if there's any involved in that as well. Yeah, the coronavirus is no joke. Regardless, I mean, we face it head on here. I mean, my girlfriend had the COVID, probably about a month or 2 ago, and she doesn't have any history of asthma or anything, and she was having like a really hard time breathing and just nonstop fever. So I don't know. I've seen people calling this whole virus thing a hoax, and they think it's just a way to mess with President Trump or whatever the case may be for election year. And I'll let you know right now, the world wouldn't just shut down the economy. We would not do this to our economy on purpose. I don't care how much you don't like the presidents or the presidential candidates. We wouldn't do this as a hoax. There are people that are being affected by this virus. And I take it very serious personally, especially seeing it firsthand. Luckily, I didn't have any symptoms. I don't know if I actually ever had it myself. But like I said, I was living with somebody who obtained the virus because she is a nurse. She works at the hospital in Philadelphia. So
I was gonna say, I hope it's not Bryce Harper because we need him on the Eagles.
Yeah, we can not afford that.
No, okay.
And the crazy thing about this COVID outbreak is, how does this affect the sports world?
Yeah.
Do we just go right back down to shutting everything down again? Or do these leagues, do they have the proper things in place to where they can maintain and sustain somebody getting the virus and still moving forward without shutting everything down completely?
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see the MLB's plan in order to make sure this doesn't become like a league-wide outbreak, with these people. These players are gonna be down here all in one spot playing with no fans. So we got this is the time to learn, and we're gonna find out if these big leagues, these owners have plans in place to make sure these players and coaching staff are safe.
Right.
So yeah, once again, prayers out to those staff members and the players down there. Speedy recovery, guys. I hope it actually doesn't affect too much of your life. Some people can go symptom free. So,
yeah.
Hope for the best and prayers to you guys. So yeah, we wanted to also touch on a little bit of baseball as far as the most recent MLB proposal to the players. It hasn't been agreed on yet, but it is in the talks, and I think this is one of the ones that the players are a little bit closer to agreeing with. So as of right now, what they offered, it would be spring training would start June 28th. No later than that, apparently, which right now we're looking at we got 8 days until then,
right,
so
dude.
I doubt that's the case.
Probably just winging it.
Yeah, exactly. So then it would be a 60-game season starting on July 19th or the 20th, and it would end on September 27th. You would have an expanded postseason. So expanded, that could be more games, more teams. So it'll be interesting to see what they mean by expanded postseason. I'm just going off this little letterhead that the MLB sent out, just kind of noting the different things that they're going to try to change. So the pay would be 100% prorated. So 60 games of 162 games is about 37%. So the players would get about 37% of their expected salary just for regular season play. Mm-hmm. They would, and then obviously you would get your postseason pay. There would also be a designated hitter, not only in the AL now, but it would be in the NL as well for 2020 season and 2021. Which, by the way, I think that would be a huge advantage for the Phillies to have that in place in the NL. They could get really creative with their lineups, having that designated hitter as an option. So then they also have this clause in here where basically the players or coaches, coaching staff, organization members can opt out of returning to baseball until they feel it's safe, due to if they're a high-risk candidate. So they do have that option to not have to go, if they have a insecurity about them getting the virus or something.
Man, they could fake vacation.
Yeah, he could. But then again, they won't get paid.
Right.
So is it really vacation?
Yeah, that's true.
And then they also threw in there that they would kind of just donate $10 million towards social justice reform and initiatives, cool. And I thought that was pretty cool for the MLB. They're usually, let's be honest, they're not the most transcendent, progressive league out there, So to see that kind of effort coming from them, I feel like that's a really strong move for them and showing support of what's going on in the world today.
It's true, man.
So yeah, do I think this plan? I think this plan is the best plan that I've heard so far. Especially with the 60 games, you wouldn't be running into next season so much, as if you were to play an 80 or 100 game season out of that 162. We are getting to the point where, man, baseball season was supposed to start in April and May. Dude, we're about to be to July now, and they're running out of time to get this done. The difference between them and the NBA and NHL, the NBA and NHL got to play half or 3/4 of their season before everything got shut down, so they don't have as much ground to make up.
Dang.
So, yeah, and then also I see here that there's corporate advertising on their jerseys. That's like a whole different topic for me, but I hate it. I hate the idea that that corporations can get their logo on jerseys. I think corporate America has so much control over our nation. It's ridiculous. And then I think that would just add to their power, which I'm opposed to.
What are you talking about, though? Like putting in the...
So kind of like, man, it's kind of like the NBA too. You know how they got like the logos on their jersey now, like
the sponsors and stuff, like Wish.
Yeah, like and then like for the Sixers, I think it's StubHub. And then the Knicks is like Squarespace or something like that. But they just have like logos, like different companies' logos on their jerseys. Yeah. Which, I mean, it makes sense, and it's a good money driver. It's good advertisement, but, I mean, just in my personal beliefs, I hate it. Just giving more credit to corporate America, right? So, but, yeah, I mean, the fact that they're still trying to get this deal done, you know, I was losing hope for a second, but like I said, this plan seems the most realistic that I've seen so far. At the end of the day, the players and the owners, they just got to stop doing this to the fans, period. Figure it out, man. You know, like, figure it out. Pay the players what they need to be paid. Like, you know, it's such a touchy subject because I know what it feels like to not be paid properly, you know, and not be compensated what you were promised and things like that. And it's not a great feeling, you know, but at the same time, the players have to look at us as fans and know, you know, you guys are making millions.
Yeah, compared to regular people.
Millions, man. And if it's about, like, the social injustice that's going on right now, then that's fine. You know, just make that known. But it's not about that. It's about money right now. And, you know, and it's about player safety. I see that as well.
Yeah. But
owners and players, we got to find some common ground, you know. I'm excited for the Phillies this season, especially if we could get that shortened season. Because I still think we have some holes in the pitching staff. I am excited that we got like a solid number 2 pitcher behind Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler. I'm very excited to see his debut. But yeah, you know, they got to find this common ground. I'm ready to get into Phillies baseball. Like, I'm excited. Andrew McCutcheon's going to be back. We brought in Didi Gregorius. You know, and then obviously just having Bryce Harper here for a second season, you know, being fully invested, had a full off season. You know, knowing where he's going to play and who he's going to play with. Yeah. So,
getting comfortable with it.
And let's not forget, you know, the main ingredient that we got rid of that asshole Gabe Kapler, man. Super nice guy, you know. He's a great person, but, like, not a great coach, man. And you could see it, you know, the indiscipline that the Phillies had on their team, you know, the last 2 or 3 years. It's been obvious that he wasn't the guy, you know. And bringing in a guy like Joe Girardi, you know, who has a history of success and winning championships, you know you're on the right track. And that's the other reason we just need to get to baseball season. It needs to start. We need to get them on the field. We need to play. I want to see Joe Girardi coached Philadelphia Phillies team. I want to see that, man. I'm excited for the Phillies. And we honestly haven't been able to talk much about them. You know, they just had a great draft. And it's like the season should be happening, you know what I mean? And these players and owners just can't come to an agreement. It's very frustrating as a fan, so I can only imagine how it is for them. And, you know, prayers and hopes that gets done soon. Maybe we could watch some Phillies baseball. So let's get into, you know, the juicy meat segment, right? Yeah, so obviously, you know, a couple days ago, the news broke out that Brandon Brooks was going to be out for the entire 2020 season. And I mean, wow. You know, at the time, honestly wanted to do like an emergency episode, you know, at the time, because I was, but at the same time, I was like breaking down, you know, I was borderline crying because I'm not even joking, man. Like, I was borderline, I had tears in my eyes, man, because, you know, first of all, the Brandon Brooks injury, he's been injured, like, he's had like 3 major injuries the last 2 or 3 seasons, you know, but even with those injuries and having to recover and come back, he still comes back and is a top 5 player on the Eagles team and a top guard in the NFL.
Yeah, if anything, he improved more, you know.
Yeah, you know, improved more after he gets injured. So just to see him tear his Achilles, you know, again, It was heartbreaking. You know, I see him, and he's doing, like, the Muay Thai.
Yeah.
Dude, and he's ripped. He has, like, a six-pack.
Like, never happened to him. Dude.
And he tears his Achilles, and, you know, the next day, literally, he posts a video, he's still training, doing Muay Thai. Like, just preparing, you know, doing what he can with a boot on his foot.
Oh, man.
And, you know, shout out to that guy. He's such a hard worker. And
that's what it is, man.
He doesn't deserve that, you know.
Oh,
but then, on the other end of things, where it really hit me as well was, you know, like, here we go again.
Right.
And the season hasn't even started
That's
yet.
exactly what I was thinking.
Here we go again. Here we go again. Carson Wentz have to play with a depleted offense, you know.
Yep.
Say what you want. I mean, Brandon Brooks, I mean, people love Kelsey and Lane Johnson, but Brandon Brooks might be our best lineman. He is, in reality, statistically.
Yeah.
Obviously, we love our entire offensive line, but that guy is a key piece. And, I mean, Lane Johnson is going to be missing that guy right beside him. So, yeah, there's no easy replacement for Brandon Brooks. I mean, his talent level, what he brings to the team, it's irreplaceable, you know.
That's the toughest thing about it all. It's not normal where, I mean, we can't find someone right away.
Yeah, there's nobody.
That amazing factor that
you know, because we got a guy like Matt Pryor who got a little bit of time last year when Brandon Brooks went down.
Yes.
And, I mean, he played all right against the Giants for the little bit that he played. And then the entire Seahawks game, I think he gave up, like, 1 sack, 4 hurries. And, you know, he played all right. You know, he's on the right side, so you're seeing a lot of Jadeveon Clowney over there.
I kept seeing people put, like, call up Kyle Long.
Yeah, man. And, I mean, that's a good option, you know. If he was down to come out of retirement, I'd be all for that because, you know, Chris can give him all the details about Philly, and he'd be real comfortable there, man. But, yeah, I mean, Matt Pryor, I think, is the safest route to go as far as a replacement for Brooks. He knows our team. He knows the system. He already replaced him last year.
Yeah.
So if he can just build on what he did last year, he's going to get a whole season to prove himself now. So, I mean, it should be pretty exciting for Matt Pryor. When you see him at his best, he is a beast. You know what I mean? So, I mean, he has some upside to him. It's just that when you're looking at the huge hole that is left by Brandon Brooks, it doesn't matter who you put in it. You
big shoes to fill.
Big shoes, huge shoes to fill. I also saw, like, Jason Peters mentioned, you know, moving him to guard. Apparently, earlier in his career, there was already talks that maybe in the latter years of his career that he would move to guard, you know, just to have more longevity. I don't know about that. I don't know about having a 38-year-old switch positions that late in their career. I don't know how beneficial that would really be. But I'm all for signing JP back and bringing him in for depth because, believe it or not, and, like, you know, knock on wood, man, but somebody else is going to go down. You know what I mean? We're going to lose players. It's just it's the NFL. It's a dangerous sport, and it's always a high chance of injury, you know, especially in the trenches.
Right.
So, I mean, another one of these guys are going to go down, and it's going to hurt, you know, and we're going to need a guy like Jason Peters who knows our squad, knows our offense, knows the offensive line coach. It wouldn't be bad bringing him back. Yeah, I would love to bring him back.
With that being said,
he's a legend, you know.
Yeah, and with that being said, would you rather have Matt Pryor or Jason Peters? Because, like you said, you made a good point. Jason already knows the whole system, like everything going on.
So, you know, if we signed Jason Peters back and said, "Hey, we're gonna try you at guard before Matt Pryor," I would be fine with it. I mean, I don't think it's ideal, you know what I mean? Yeah. Neither of them are ideal.
That's exactly what it is, though. You know?
Who do I trust more? Definitely Jason Peters, you know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you do have to prepare for the future with guys like Matt Pryor and giving them their chance. But at the same time, it's always win now in Philadelphia, baby. And we need the best team out there on the field. So, I mean, good question. Jason Peters, always welcome on the squad, no matter what position he wants to play. You know, if he's willing to not cause any trouble in the locker room and you know, be a backup, or if they feel that he can start, then, you know, bring him back. He can start too. I just don't like the idea of bringing him back over Andre Dillard. I think we got to roll with that and see what we got there. So, you know, even if you brought JP back as a bench player, Andre Dillard could be a bust. And, he could suck the first maybe 5 games, and then now you start Jason Peters the rest of the season,
True shit.
So you never know how it's going to work out. But, yeah, Brandon Brooks, huge loss. There's not really an option out there that really, I mean, you would have to search far and long for a guard someone even up to the caliber of Brandon Brooks. Like, there's only a few in the league, Zach Martin and Quentin Nelson from Indianapolis. There's only a few guys that are at that level. Yeah. And he will be missed, man.
Yeah, dude.
He will be missed. So, man, we've been giving out a lot of prayers and hopes today, prayers Lord. To you, Brandon Brooks.
It's like Sunday now.
Man, if we can just get him back healthy for the 2021 season, I'll be happy at that point. Great guy, great work ethic. I know he'll be back. And then speaking of injuries, man, I saw this picture of Alshon Jeffrey. There was like a report that came out, people close to him are saying he's coming back with a chip on his shoulder. He's got like the little twisties in his hair. That. Yeah, I like it, man. Flexing. I like it. Yeah. Working out. I like it, man. I like Alshon. Like I said, the only reason I had ill will towards him was, with that anonymous comment from Josina, who, praise the Lord, is not on ESPN no more.
And because he didn't even really deny him.
Yeah, and he never, he never defends Wentz, but at the same time, Alshon just doesn't say much.
Yeah, I know.
He doesn't say much to the media, and that's who he is. So, like, if he comes back with a chip on his shoulder, join the club, because everybody in that wide receiver corps has a chip on their shoulder, man. Yeah, man. Deshaun Jackson, he's tired of hearing people say that he's not a number 1 receiver. He's going to show us why he is, and I believe him.
Yeah.
Jalen Reagor, everybody says we should have picked Justin Jefferson, should have traded up for CeeDee Lamb.
You already seen what he's been tweeting.
Yeah. Ooh. Chip on the shoulder. John Hightower taken later in the draft. Quez Watkins, undrafted. Marquise Goodwin coming off injuries. These guys have chip on their shoulder. They got chips on their shoulders. And it's going to be fun to watch. I know injuries will come down. Even J.J. Arthega, man, he's looked at as a bust right now. So he has to come out and prove his worth.
Yeah.
So I mean, that wide receiver group, it's exciting, but it could go south really quick as well.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just worried
about
last
year. You know what I mean?
Eagles make me worry about injuries.
Yeah, the injuries, man. God. But yeah.
I'm going to church.
See you soon, Brandon Brooks. Yeah, we need to start having like a church segment,
like an Eagles parade thing.
So now like the big news, it broke yesterday, Thursday. So
yeah, this week's been hectic.
Yeah, this week's been hectic, busy. Kind of sad, and so the big news that came out yesterday.
Yeah,
Jamal Adams has requested a trade for the Jets. Yeah, you're talking about the best safety in the NFL. He wants off the team that he's on. So then, how the Eagles, every time there's a player that comes available, the Eagles will get him. The fan base takes over. They start making these edits, these uniform edits. Mm-hmm. But, the media does us no favors, man, as far as getting our hopes up. Because shortly after it comes out that he requests a trade, his short list of 7 teams comes out. And, of course, the Eagles are
always on it.
Huh? And honestly, that speaks volumes to, the type of organization that we have running in Philadelphia. They obviously are a very respected organization. Everybody that comes out, they have no problem with going to Philadelphia and playing, And I think that just speaks a lot to how Howie takes care of our players, makes smart decisions, smart moves, and always puts a contender on the field.
That's when they look at
Philly.
Like,
when they look at Philly, they think there's a chance to win there.
Right.
You got a quarterback like Carson Wentz. Anytime you got a quarterback like that, you're going to have that feeling that we could win this thing. At least that's my confidence in Wentz. It takes over the entire team. It gives me confidence in the entire team.
Yeah.
But
we're always on it though, for sure.
Yeah.
So better have 5 phones.
Right. So they dropped this list, right? It's like the Ravens, Cowboys, Chiefs, Texans, Eagles. And there was, I think, 1 or 2 more teams. There's 7 total. Obviously, I didn't care about the other teams. I hope the Cowboys don't get them, but you know, the Eagles, I would love for them to get Jamal Adams. But then today, man, I'm starting to see these crazy trade proposals again. I don't know why our fan base turns on Zach Ertz so easily, man. You know, and I get it. You're trying to remain objective and look at just pure football and not think about emotions and what Zach has brought to Philly, you know. But, come on.
I don't know who brought it up.
He's the most stable piece of our offense, man. Wentz can't afford us to trade him. You know, you have to think about it like this. You look at last season, and we were stretched out as far as like our skill on the receiving positions. You know, tight end and wide receiver. Our tight ends were our wide receivers last year. Like, they were putting up wide receiver numbers, you know. And for us to just be so willing to, you know, part ways with a guy like Ertz, after looking at how unstable the wide receiver position is. Like I said, I'm excited for that position group. I'm excited for them.
Yeah.
They have great potential, but that's just it. It's potential. You know, we don't know what we have in that group. Alshon could have a chip on his shoulder and get injured again.
Yeah.
Deshaun Jackson could have a chip on his shoulder, but his body might not hold up. That's just life, you know. So for me, when you think about trading a guy, you know, that holds so many records on your team, you know, a possession tight end, considered a top 3 tight end in the league. You cannot strip Wentz of that. You can't. You can't. Not this year. Not until we have, you know, viable wide receiver. You know, wide receiver options. You can't do it. As much as I love Goddard and Ertz. You know, the combination of them both is what makes the whole situation unique. You know, having 2 tight ends of that caliber. That's what makes it so unique.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm not, no. And I saw like,
no.
Yeah, like, no.
I feel you.
No. You know what I mean? No.
Like, I don't know why it's a thing.
Like, Ertz.
Why you thought it.
I've seen, like, Ertz in a 3rd rounder for Jamal Adams. Like, why? If you take such a huge piece from the offense to get a huge piece for the defense, then what's the point? Because now you're going to be slacking on offense. It's not like just because we have Goddard, now Zach Ertz is expendable. No, they're 2 important pieces in our offense. We run a 2 tight end sets a lot. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, we're one of the highest teams in using that.
He's kind of like a Brandon Brooks factor, the way that they're big key pieces in the defense and the offense.
If you lose Brandon Brooks already, you can't afford to take Zach Ertz out the offense too. Like, maybe a week ago it would be more reasonable. Maybe. Right. I still don't think so, but maybe. But when you look at taking a top 5, you know, player off your offense and Brandon Brooks, and then you take a top 3 player, you know, in his position rank in the NFL and Zach Ertz off the team, that offense doesn't look the same. And mind you, I don't want it to look the same as last year, but it just doesn't look normal, you know. Like, I can't reason with it, honestly. I can't. In my head, it doesn't make sense.
I doubt it happens, but if it did happen,
Jamal Adams, he's an extreme talent, you know. We would have the best secondary in the NFL, most likely, you know, putting him back there with Slay and those other guys. It would be nasty. And it would be pretty sick.
What's the price to pay?
Yeah, what's the price to pay? And our safety group isn't terrible. Our safety group they're looking pretty good. You know, we got Kayvon Wallace we just brought in. Mm-hmm. Brought in Will Parks. Jalen Mills is moving over to safety. And then you got McLeod still there. So, yeah, obviously Jamal Adams would be a major upgrade at the position. I'm not saying any of those guys are even close to him. But I'm just saying, as far as worth to the team, you know, Ertz is probably more valuable than what Adams would be to our defense, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But then you add in, like, throwing a draft pick in it, and that, like, no. You know what I mean? Like, what? People are so quick to give up on Ertz. I don't get it, man. He's done nothing but put up numbers for us. And, I mean, even last year, you see his toughness. He got his ribs broke, a punctured lung against the Cowboys. And he comes out, you know, and he comes out, plays in the playoff game, you know, and you know, he just gives us everything he's got. And that's all he's done since he's gotten drafted here is giving us everything he's got. You know, game-winning Super Bowl TD catch from Foles.
We better get a statue of Ertz.
Yeah. I see it. Yeah, man. Put some respect on his name. You know, I get it. You got to remain emotionless when looking at these type of things. But even when I do that, it's not reasonable.
Right.
You know, production speaks volumes.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, what would I think as far as like a reasonable trade for Jamal Adams? In my eyes, I'm thinking like a J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, you know, with a second-round pick, something like that in that nature. You know, a Razzle Douglas and Arcega-Whiteside plus a pick, something of that. You know, no Ertz, no. We're not trying to make the Jets a better team. Yeah. You know, it's their player that wants out, not our player. So we need to have some leverage in that situation. And, I mean, how he's got that relationship with Joe Douglas, you know, from his days in Philly to where now he's with the Jets, they could get something reasonable done, you know, without Ertz or Goddard. I don't want to lose Goddard either. It's the same thing as Ertz, man.
Yeah, that hurts.
But, yeah, I mean, and then today even I was reading online that apparently the reason the contract negotiations broke down between the Jets and Adams is because this guy wants over $20 million. You know, $20 million a year. What?
We can't be doing that.
We can't do that. We can't afford that. We're already thinking about how we're going to pay this guy and that guy. You know, like Ertz, we still got to pay Ertz. We got to pay Goddard. You know, I get it. You know, but at the end of the day, Ertz is going to be way cheaper than $20 million a year. So and mind you, the best player, if you're going off value at like the NFL market, as far as safeties, his value is at around, you know, $15 million. And I get it. Get your money while you can. You know, somebody will pay him that. They will. It's just a matter if he wants to win or not.
That's pretty much what it is.
But yeah, I mean, I'm all for Adams coming to Philly. Obviously, you're not going to get $20 million here.
I was just about to ask, do you think it would really happen? Because if it's the case about the money, then
I think we would be more inclined to trade for a guy like Yannick Ngakoue, or pick up a guy like Clowney, you know, an edge rusher, a pass rusher for the defensive line, you know, at like a $15 million, or Yannick at like a $18 million a year contract. I think Howie would hold that with like higher regard than, you know, a safety. Yeah. Because like I said, we just invested money into our secondary by getting Slay, and we invested draft capital. So I mean, giving up the 3rd and 5th rounder for him and then paying him on top of it, you know, that's just a lot of moving around, shifting around in the secondary. Yeah. But you know, by any means, if you can do it without giving up Ertz and you don't have to pay that guy $20 million a year, bring him to Philly. We love talent. You know, he's a dog too. He fits our the personality of the city. Right. I would honestly love to have him, you know, on the squad, but I don't know. It's just crazy. But you know, just to kind of put perspective to what a Jamal Adams safety brings to your team, just think about this: if Jamal Adams played for the Eagles last season, he would have been the 2nd leading sack getter on the defense as a safety. You know what I mean? So he was sitting there with 6.5 sacks last year as a safety coming out of the secondary, you know, coming up, blitzing, whatever the case may be. And Brandon Graham was the only one who had more sacks on our team than him. Brandon Graham was sitting at 8.5. He only had 2 more sacks than a safety, you know. And that's not dissing Brandon Graham or our team. It just shows how significant of a piece Jamal Adams is, you know. He was tied with Derek Barnett. Derek Barnett had 6.5 sacks last year as well, which is another guy I'm hoping to get some major production out of this year. But that's beside the point. Yeah, get Jamal Adams to Philly if you can. Don't do anything stupid, Howie. I know you won't, but, you know, I just like reiterating that. Right. So we're going to finish up here. We got a few questions, actually, from some listeners we received in our mailbag. So I got one on Instagram from Samuel Kersey. All right, Sam, shout out to you, brother. This is actually my friend. So he said, when considering QB, coach, and system, which of the top 3 wide receivers drafted will have the best rookie season? And then he asked for us to please rank them. Okay, so I'll try to explain this as simple as I can. I think they're all 3, you know, between – he's talking about Judy, Ruggs, and Lamb. All 3 are studs, and I would have loved to have all 3 on the Eagles, you know. if I can say who's going to have the best, and I'm just thinking about quarterback situation, team situation, everything, I'm thinking that Jerry Jeudy. Yeah, I think Jerry Judy's going to be the guy for the Broncos. I like Henry Ruggs. I like Lamb. I hate that Lamb's on the Cowboys. But ultimately, I think Lamb is the most talented receiver out of the three.
Yeah.
What I worry for with him on Dallas is that there's just going to be too many mouths to feed. You got Gallup down there, he's a 1,000-yard receiver. Amari Cooper, 1,000-yard receiver. And you got Zeke, who's going to get 25 to 30 carries a game on top of being involved in the passing game.
Yeah.
So for him to be wide receiver number 3, unless you're holding him up above Gallup, he could be above Gallup. Who knows? With his talent level. I just don't think he's going to get the targets that, say, a Jerry Jeudy or a Henry Ruggs would get. Depending how the Raiders want to use Henry Ruggs, he could be the better option than even Jeudy, They can – the way his style of play, they could base a lot of their offense, involving him, whether he's a decoy or, similar to like a Tyreek Hill. He can do those end-arounds, screens, deep threat. He's the type of guy you want to get the ball in his hands and see what he can do. But Jeudy, I think, is the more talented receiver, and I think the Broncos have a better situation there just in general. Drew Lock's a pretty steady quarterback. I liked what I saw from him last year. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Jeudy, and then you could see how I kind of laid it out as Jeudy, Ruggs, Lamb. Nothing against Lamb. I think he's a great player, and I think he will prosper eventually, even if it is in Dallas. But just not this season. I think Amari just got that big money. Zeke just got that big money. They got paid Dak, I mean, he could get a target share. I don't know how it'll work out. You really just got to see. But just based off of what the Cowboys were already working with and the amount of mouths they would have to feed, I can't pick him, although I do think he's the most talented. So then we got another question here, and this is from Can't D Like Me on Twitter. And it says,
Can't D like me. I'm going to start saying that to my ladies.
Right? And it's funny because he asked a question about defense. So he said,
That's good.
Hey, man, who do you think has the biggest impact on the defensive side of the ball this season? So going into this year, I mean, the obvious answer for me, it pops in my head immediately, but I'm wondering if it's just because I'm thinking, who that the Eagles acquired this offseason will have the biggest impact, because the easy answer is Darius Slay. If you're not excited to have this guy on the squad, then you haven't been watching him play. He's a turnover guy. He's a ball hawk. He's a playmaker at the secondary level. And it's something that we've been lacking the last couple of years. Even having Malcolm back there, he's not a ball hawk. He's just more of a versatile guy, Slay is the real deal. He's a lockdown corner. He's a playmaker. He's a ball hawk. And, that's exciting. Looking at the grand scheme of the entire defense and the players that we still had on this team before Darius Slay was acquired, before Will Parks and some of these other guys we brought in, Nickel Roby-Coleman. Guys like Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham immediately stick out in my head. I think Fletcher Cox is due for a bounce-back season. I think last year wasn't terrible, but it was just, it was a little slow for him. You just didn't hear his name as much as you think you should, Or
you usually do.
Yeah, you usually do. So, I mean, Fletcher Cox, my favorite player on the defense. I'm going to go with him on the most impactful. I think he's due for a bounce-back year. He's getting real freaky with his girl on Instagram. He's feeling right. He's tonguing her down on camera.
He said, Can't D like me.
Right, like, what? Yeah, so Fletcher's ready to go. He's pulling the shotgun out on people coming to his house for the girls and stuff. My man's wild out there. I wouldn't mess with that dude, but
I hope he does have the most awesome season.
I think between him, Brandon Graham, and Darius Slay, another sleeper. It'll be interesting to watch it play out, but Jalen Mills at the safety position. I'm interested to see that because I've always wanted him to be at the safety position.
Yeah.
And we're finally seeing that come to light. But my short list: Fletcher Cox, Darius Slay, and then Brandon Graham just always surprises me. So we won't be able to predict him, because I thought when we brought him back on that contract, I thought we were, paying money to a guy that might be past his prime, but then he comes out and he leads our team in sacks last year. So we will let that play out.
We got that good leadership in ours, man.
That's all we got for today. It's a beautiful Saturday. Go enjoy the weather.
I'm about to enjoy some brews.
Yeah, we're gonna go enjoy some beer, have a cookout, and once again, Bud Light, give us a sponsor.
Yeah.
We drink you all the time. We do,
We try.
We can even have a beer in every episode if that's what you require.
I would
love that,
if it's what it takes.
Yeah, remember, guys, if you enjoy this podcast, if you enjoyed listening today, go find us on Twitter, Instagram. Yep. We actually just dropped our YouTube page yesterday. So go check that out. Scotty Talks Philly Sports on YouTube. ST Philly Sports 1 at Instagram and Twitter.
Yep.
Find us on all the social platforms. Interact with us. Reach out. Me and Willie are always down to talk sports. Have a good day, guys.
Hey, man,
thanks for tuning in.